A new trend for Islamic clothing is emerging into mainstream fashion brands. The latest statistics from Thomson Reuters estimate that Muslims worldwide spent $266 billion on fashion in 2013, a figure that's expected to rise to $488 billion by 2019. Kirsty Nicol reports now on how global brands are producing modest fashion aimed at the Muslim consumer.
It was once a niche fashion market led by Muslim designers, bloggers and entrepreneurs. But now mainstream brands are becoming increasingly interested in modest dressing. Clothing giant Uniqlo have recently collaborated with designer Hannah Tajima to release an international collection aimed at young Muslim women.
Because I became Muslim at 18, so a lot of my life I spent with a very sort of Western culture, and a lot of people growing up as second-generation Muslims in this country, it felt like there was a lack of identity or lack of representation of that identity for them, and I think that's what happened with my brand, is that they were able to see a part of themselves in the designs.
Designing for the market isn't straightforward though. There's a grey area around how modesty is interpreted.
When I design from all aspects of myself, so I understand that not all women will want to wear the hijab, not all women will cover as much as I want to cover, so it's really allowing to not be prescriptive in the clothing, but just to allow people to have that choice.
One of the key elements of the Islamic faith is modesty, and part of that is reflected in religious dress. Today, a new generation of Muslim women are fusing modesty with fashion to create an emerging trend. But what role does religion play in that trend?
The young Muslim market, these Muslim consumers who believe that they should be faithful but also should live a modern life, there are some inherent paradoxes. So on the one hand, they want to be fashion forward, they want to be consumers of fashion like other women, but on the other hand, there is a risk of veering into the territory of extravagance or overconsumption.
The potential conflict between Islam and fashion goes beyond modesty, and Shalina thinks there are other ethical areas that need to be considered.
There are some issues around how Muslim women are paid to produce the garments that come onto our high street. So who were the Muslim women actually making those clothes, and were they being exploited? So these are the kind of questions around fashion that brands will have to really interrogate and make sure that they have authentic answers for. It's not just about window dressing with the Muslim woman mannequin at the front, it's about the backstory of how that fashion was produced.
There's no denying this fashion market could be a big money maker, not just for the high street, but for high-end designers too.
One of the reasons I suspect why Dolce & Gabbana and these other brands have been marketing to Muslims and producing collections aimed at Muslims is because of all the research which shows that the Muslim spend on fashion and apparel is growing.
Clearly some brands are starting to explore modest clothing, but are they going far enough?
It was great that Dolce & Gabbana had thought about the fact that there was a Muslim female market, but actually were their designs really fashion forward, because there were already local designers designing high-end abayas. It's not just about saying, hey, we're available for Muslim women, it's about saying we actually are fashion forward for Muslim women.
I think we're at a really sort of interesting point now where people are just starting to catch on to the Muslim woman market. It's definitely an emerging trend at the moment, and as that develops you'll start to see more variety and the ability for people with completely different aesthetics to find what they want and to find a style that suits them.
The recent shift has undoubtedly shown that modesty and fashion can go hand in hand. But whilst the trend is already emerging, some people say it also needs to be evolving. Kirsty Nicol, TRT World in London.